Well, I first introduced him in Discover. Then you guys kept on voting for his song and you pushed him into the incubator. You kept him there for 3 weeks and kept playing him over and over on the show. And people kept asking, when is he going to be on? When is he going to be on? Well, I told you he would be here. And he is. I'm talking about Seth. Now, Seth. Now, I want to say Salois because that's what I always think of when I look at the name. But it's
It,
Salois, correct?
it's true, and Sawa would just make it sound so much more robust, right? But it's the full Americanized ois. So
Salois. Okay.
that's right.
Welcome to Real Rock Nights, man.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate all
Uh,
the support from you guys.
Definitely. And this is a good weekend to have you here too, because this is a release weekend for you that
Yes, it is.
we're going to be talking about that in a little bit, man. I'm looking
I'm
forward to
excited.
I'm looking forward to the EP, man. For those of you that don't know, Seth was a driving force for a well-known band. Now, is can you give us a little history on that? That was
Yeah.
like 20 plus years, wasn't it?
So funny enough, so when I was in college, started playing music the end of my senior in high school. So when I went to college, did the whole proverbial just sit there and taught myself how to play guitar, how to sing. I was always a writer, even when I was a little kid. And some friends of mine, we got together and did the whole let's get together and do some covers, do the talent thing at college and stuff. One night we were doing a battle of the bands in school, and the promoter came up to us and he's like, "Hey man, I'm so glad to have you guys on. What's the band name?" And everyone just turned to me, and I was like, so I had this idea, the name Cycle, just things, what goes around comes around, that just that whole
Okay.
opposite yin yang feel of things. So, and that it was 23 years of obviously different lineups and stuff, but 23 years of writing and performing and playing all over the place. And we did a lot of cool stuff, went a lot of cool places, wrote some really good songs that I'm very proud of. And it led me to this, which was it, this was a hard thing to do for me. I'm a band person. I'm a collaborator. So to
Okay.
step out and do this and have it be a solo thing to start, scary. But at the same token, it's been so fulfilling, and I'm so proud of the work in these songs. So
This wasn't a deal where you were like, okay, I totally have to go solo. I'm gonna do my thing. This is just like a happenstance deal.
and came to an end, to put it lightly. And I'm like I said, very proud of the work that we did. It was a very hard thing because, especially with the current lineup that we had, we were together for almost 8 years. We did a lot of big stuff. We had an EP, a full length album. We had just written almost 10 songs. We were supposed to go into pre production literally the next day when everything went sideways. So we were sitting on some really good music to go forward. So that was difficult. My producer that I worked with since 2017, Chris Paquette, who I'm really close friends with, who's amazing. I talked to Chris, and a lot of my friends were like, dude, you gotta, like, I sold all my stuff. It was like a big to do. And I told Chris, listen, man, I got some demos that I've had for a while. Can you take a listen to them? I sent them over to him like 10 minutes. He calls me. He's like, get your ass in here. Let's book some time. We got to do this. And Chris and I did the whole album together, just the two of us.
Now, did some of what you said you were working on with Cycle, did some of that move over to Solois?
It didn't, because I had songs that I never got a chance to record, and I was very proud. One of the songs, Faithless, which I believe was the third single, I wrote that song 21 years ago, and we brought it in, and Chris was like, this is just good stuff, man. We just need to. It was all demo stuff, so he's like, let's just sit down and crank it out. And then we had some program drums and stuff, and we actually brought in this cat, and his name's Brody Briggs, who's just an absolute animal on drums. He came in and did all the live tracks for us, but everything else Chris and I did together. So I still have that music, and I was like, I don't want to do it. It was the four of us and that thing, but I'm working on stuff right now because those songs need to be heard, which I'm excited about. So, but it was a tough transition.
One thing I've noticed, like with all your stuff, man, there's all for progression. It's all striving to be better than it was before. That's what I feel in here. And is that a conscious effort that you try to make while you're writing?
I think for me, one of the things I really try to push myself to do is when I have a completed song, the next song idea, I try not to get myself stuck in the box of this feels familiar, this works, these progressions go together. To me, it starts with good melody and me pushing away, not outside of the box, but pushing away from what I did last, getting away from the bag of tricks that we used on the last song But
Okay.
when we went into this writing this EP and recording it, I had a list of things that was like, hey man, I got a bucket list of things like I want to do this on a song, I want to do that, I want to do this, as long as it made sense for the song. And one of the things that Chris and I came out of this EP with, it was, and I will use this quote till I die, is that the only ego in the room is the song, and it's whatever is going to best suit the song. And we threw out great ideas that we try, and it was like, that part that's not working, or that thing's not working, just delete. What's going to be the best thing that's going to serve the song? And so what my big thing is, and even in Cycle, we tried to do this, was we tried to write every song as if it was its own little album, but we wanted
Okay.
to fit at the end so that you could have a through conversation. But I listen to everything from classical to Pantera to you name it. So there's a lot of influence, and I want to allow that to naturally happen in the song. So there's a bunch of different avenues you could take. So like, let's just write good songs. Write a good song, make sure the melody's good. And for me, the lyrics mean a lot. So let's make sure we write a good song, and everything else will take care of itself.
How would you say that your music has evolved? Because with you saying that you just want to write a good song, you want to put stuff together correctly, uh, the music's got to always be changing for you.
I think the big thing for me when it comes to when I say write a good song, and let me give you an example. One of the bands when I was starting to get into listen to some heavier stuff that really like my head exploded was Seven Dust. And I remember the first time I really got introduced to Seven Dust. I heard of them before, but when they did the double wide acoustic album live DVD, that whole thing, and to see those guys on stage who were playing drop tune guitars, heavy, you got drums that are so hard to replicate, but the fact that they were able to do it and create power in their songs in a different way with the cool melodies, the harmonies, everything that they do, my brain really opened up and be like, it can really be anything. You can have a song that is just a basic tune, acoustic, but it can be more powerful than something with heavy chords and heavy guitars and stuff. So for me, I think I've always fought back in my influences and the things that my ears like to hear. And that ranges from like my first concert was Elton John. I was a big 90s grunge head stuff, but I also grew up on
Okay.
the Billy Joels and the Aerosmiths and the Beatles and stuff like that. So
The
I,
songwriters.
it's the melody, right? It's like
Yeah.
get the melody right. And for me, the lyrical content will become what it's going to be. Usually I have like phrases and things like that that'll start that journey of whatever it is.
Well, you have to have someplace to begin, right?
But if you don't have a melody, it's really hard. So that's to me, the melody is the thing that the listener is going to lock into. So if you can get that good, you can surround it with other good stuff.
And then have you, this is going back to Cycle now. Have you seen fans from Cycle move over to Salois? Have you seen them follow you as you're progressing?
I think the majority of them, because I think, like for me, I think it's important, and I think this goes for a lot of bands who are successful or try to be successful. Is that I think you always try and treat people as family. And I think a lot of people appreciate, and people who know me personally know that to me, it matters being a good person. It matters thinking of other people. It matters making sure that they know that they're a part of your life and it means something to you. So, them knowing how passionate I am about music, how passionate I am about writing stuff, they knew that whatever was going to come out, and I truly believe this, was going to be something that they wanted to listen to. I think the thing that, and especially, I'm sure we'll talk about the single coming out at the end of this week, but with my influences and a lot of stuff that I like to write, I think the thing that's different with the solo stuff is that it's a little more all over the place a little bit in terms of lighter, heavier. It's got a lot of different arrangement that a straight up plug in ACDC go for it rock and roll thing. It's got a little bit of everything. And that's the stuff that I love. When you can do the song that's in drop A and that's ripping, and then you can do something that has strings and harmonies and falsetto vocals and all that stuff. If you can get both of those, it's just
It's
serving it
like,
up.
well, I don't know, man. That's that. I guess that's the way I think too. I want to see what my bands and artists can do. Just don't want them locked into the same four chord progression. I don't,
Exactly. And I
you know,
think I think when you develop a sound, the thing I had difficulty with bands that I really liked is you get the first album and it's like that's what I want to listen to. And the second album, and this could come in from record labels or whatever it is, but they really stray from who they are as songwriters or in their sound. And I think it's good to push the box, but I don't ever want to go outside the box because then it feels disingenuous to the stuff that I want to do. And it doesn't, like, I'm not going to slip in an electric violin if it doesn't make sense. Just to be like, this is a different song
Just
this time.
yeah, it's just like, hey, look how deep I am. One thing too with the fans, why do you think your music resonates so well? I play World on Fire in our Discover segment. And then, as I said in the open, then everybody kept asking for it again. And they voted the song to go into our incubator, which is a test category on the show. And it was in there. They voted it 3 weeks. Okay.
It's amazing.
Why do you think that resonates so well with them? Why do you think your music is like giving them something?
I think the interesting thing is, and this goes back to an interview I saw at Miles Kennedy years ago when they were doing the Blackbird album with Alter Bridge, and he said, "You really better believe in what you're saying because people will pick up on it immediately, and it'll really come off as disingenuous." And to me, I think writing about things that doesn't paint you into a certain corner, that I think grasps at people's humanity. So it's not a political thing, it's not a religious thing, it's not a I like the color blue and you like the color red, or whatever you want to call it. To me, it's really about talking about, I think, how people feel, right? In a multitude of different ways. And it's not, I never really write from like that first person, like this happened to me. A lot of
Okay.
times it's me sitting back and it's like that empath thing where I can see what's happening to other people. How does it make me feel? And how do I want to tell other people about it? And I think that whole idea of hope in music, where you're talking about maybe difficult subjects or darker subjects, but you feel like you're not the only one feeling that way or the only one who's listening to it. So I try not to be very literal with lyrics, but a lot of the stuff that I end up writing about, I think, is that stuff that people deal with or think about on a daily basis. So I hope that people can feel like it's like a warmer handoff with those things.
Put themselves basically into it, leaving it up for interpretation.
Exactly. And I don't, that's why I've had a lot of people like, oh, this song, what is this song about? I'm like, well, when I wrote it, I thought the song was about this. But like, how many times back in the day when you'd listen to a song and you were singing the lyrics and you sang the wrong lyrics, right? Even one word was off and it changed the whole idea on what you thought the song was about. So I always want people to take their own thing from it and get from it what you want, not from what my intention.
I Okay, that makes complete sense when I go back and I think about the lyrics in your songs because it does. It lets you put yourself in the song yourself, so to speak. On the reason that I thought this would be the perfect show weekend to have you on, okay, Between the Darkness and the Light. New release coming up. And
Yeah.
also, that is the name of your EP, correct?
Yes.
Is Between the Darkness and the Light, what are you most excited about for people to get from this song?
I guess personally, I think this is one of my most favorite songs I've ever written. I got to check a lot of boxes in this particular song that I've always wanted to do. And when you hear it, you'll get it. It's the perfect bookend, I think, to the other 4 songs on the EP that we've released. And it's funny because I have a very close relationship with my parents, but especially my mom. And my mom's followed me throughout my whole music career. But she's the first one to tell me, she'd be like, "This sucks," or "I don't like this," or "What are you doing with that chord there?" Like
The
she's
brutal
she's
honesty.
and she's front row at ACDC, and she's going to Madison Square Garden. She's a music head, right? So I'll always send her when I finish something. I'll send it before I send. I've got a couple people I'll send it to, be like, "Give me some feedback." So I sent her this song, and it was like 11:30 at night. She called me up. I was in bed, and she's like, "Get your ass out of bed." I'm like, "Oh God." And she was like, "This is one of the most beautiful." Like, she started crying. She's like, "One of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard." She's like, I can't imagine writing it and how it feels to you writing it. And I'm like, well, when you write stuff like that and to put it out to people, there's a lot of the exposed nerve feeling. But to get the feedback from everyone that's heard it so far, it's all been pretty much across the line, like, wow. And that excites me for other people to hear.
Going back to what we were talking about a little while ago, when you write it, what the song means to you, and that's what I want to get from you about this song, Between the Darkness and the Light. Where did this song come from? In your head, where did it come from?
So I've always had this fascination, I think, with the gray area of life. And I think a lot of that probably stems from, I've spent most of my life in my day job working in like the behavioral health field. So I've worked in as a substance abuse counselor, mental health counselor. I've worked housing the homeless. I work with people with disabilities and doing things like that. But especially with substance abuse, mental health, things like that, there's like a couple different camps, right? There's people who see the light switch, the on off, the yes no. And then there's the actual gray area of humanity and people and things like that. And I believe everyone should be treated individually, regardless if they fall under an umbrella, a perceived thing. But I've always been fascinated in what's on, instead of being what's on the outside, what's in the middle. But also it's like that, what can force you to one side of what's that manipulation? And it could be a lot of some of the songs talked about the outside manipulation of the higher up in the world, or just the dialogue that comes from media or comes from the perceived things of what we should follow, right? Even when it comes to good and evil, I really feel like human beings can only go so far without allowing something to take them to either side, right? So I was always fascinated with, if we live in that gray area, which a lot of us do, that we don't talk about, what does that mean? What does it look like? What attributes fall in that? How did this affect us? How does it affect us affecting other people? So there's a large area in there that we don't talk about a lot. And I was really fascinated with that, on how it affects people. And that's where, between the darkness and the light, what falls between those things? What does
It's
that mean?
like, well, because there can be no goodness without evil. There
It's
can
the
be no
balance,
light
right?
without darkness, correct?
And even
Uh,
in relationships too, it's like people talk about relationships and, oh, it's got to be a two-sided street. I'm like, well, some Mondays I'm 80, my wife is 20, and some Tuesdays she's 60 and I'm 40. But that's the balance, right?
you balance each
It's
other
not
out.
always
Yeah,
perfect. You just got to figure it out.
that's the deal. And you touched on this a little while ago, but I never asked directly or anything, so I'm gonna put that here.
Sure.
Is this just the beginning of the things you have planned for us?
Oh,
Are-
it's
Okay, can you just give us a little tease of just a couple of the things that you're working on? A couple of the things that maybe they're just ideas in your head right now, but they will come to fruition pretty soon.
well, I can tell you what came to fruition is I'm already one song down on the second album recorded.
Oh, damn.
I'm already back in the studio. One of the things I wanted to do, especially with this being a newer project and people getting accustomed to my music, my sound, my trying to figure out how to say my last name of the band, all those different things. It's like this was a year and a half of work in this project. And what I didn't want to do is put out these songs, be really proud of it, and be like, cool, see you guys in 5 years. I'm like, I need to take that momentum if I want to do what I really want to do. And I need to continue to put out good music. But one of the things I wanted to do is like, this is how I went into this project too. I'm like, I'm going to record these songs and the people are going to tell me what they want, if they like it or they want more or how they want it. And I've been having rehearsals with some gentlemen who are unnamed yet, that we do have a live band that's going to be together, that are going to go and not only put out these songs, but are going to put out the stuff from the new EP that I'm working on. And then we'll hopefully be writing together and be out playing shows and backing up this EP and all this music here.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. As far as you were talking about going out, like after all this stuff is done, and that what are people looking at as far as tours and live shows coming up? When do you think people can get out and see you? When are you
So,
gonna be by them?
so one of the things that what I talked about, the guys that I'm working with, said if we're going to do this, we're going to do it as like a professional outfit. So we're
Okay.
going to have we're going to have a stage show. You're gonna hear it like you would hear it going to a Shinedown concert. Like, we're going to give you the whole business, and it's going to be as thorough and locked in and put together as anything you'd see on a big stage. And I think what we really want to do is just get out there and show people what these songs sounds like live, what we look and sound like as a band, interact, build relationships with other bands, and obviously, playing as long as I have, I've met a lot of wonderful people, played a lot of wonderful places. So we'll start tapping into that stuff. I'm hoping by the end of fall, we can start getting out, getting our feet wet with stuff. But we also told ourselves, like, we don't want to roll this out unless we're going to come out smoking, and it's going to be what we feel people deserve to see. And also, the most important thing is the songs need to be represented in the best way. And we're all on the same page with that. And I wouldn't work with people if we weren't. And I'm super excited to work with these guys that I'm working with, some people that I've wanted to work with for a long time. And I think people will be really excited about it. But so hopefully, I'm thinking end of fall, maybe October, November time, We'll start
Okay.
getting some club dates in. And then if we get lucky enough, we can push and get some contacts and maybe get some open slots, which we are really lucky with. Cycle was we opened for a lot of like one-off tours coming through the area to do some support, and we played some great shows. So I'm hoping we can jump on some of them, but we're gonna do everything we can to make sure it's smoking when it comes out.
Well, and we will keep watch and let people know too.
That'd be
Like
awesome.
when you're going to be kicking off stuff, when you're going to be by them, when they can like go partake in
We're
your stage,
probably, I
your
would say
stage
this.
show.
I think what we'll probably do is we're gonna probably try and do regional stuff first, build up that fan base in the region between, I'd say, 300-400 miles. Do
Yeah.
that thing first, and just see where it takes us. When I told the guys when I asked them to if they want to be involved in the project, I said, I don't have any delusions of grandeur, but I've been doing this a long time. I work really hard at it. All the music videos, everything that's done, I did. I taught myself how to do all that stuff because I wanted it to come out of my eyes and my ears and my brain. But I told them, I said, if we're going to be in this, we got to be in it together and do everything the right way. And they were like, we wouldn't do it anyway besides that. So we're excited.
That's awesome. It shows too that you really care about like everything that encompasses Solois. You're hands on pretty much everything.
The music deserves it. If you're going to write music and you really are passionate about it and you really love it and you want other people to be passionate about it, like you got to do the work and you got to be good to people. You got to be good to promoters, good to photographers, good to front of house guys. Learn their names, ask questions. When you get off stage, you shut that light switch off and you go out and you be thankful for the people that spent their money, spent their time, came out and saw you, listened to your music, went on Spotify, downloaded stuff. You got to be thankful for that stuff because without them, what would I be doing this for?
That's true, man. You gotta look at what's keeping you there.
It,
What's allowing you to do what you love. If you
yeah,
don't treat what is allowing you to do what you love well, you screw yourself over.
can never forget that stuff, man.
SaloisOfficial.com. And to, when you tell people your name, do you use the French pronunciation or do you stay with the Americanized?
So it's hard enough for people to say it the American pronunciation. So I don't even dare. I try and hold back the jokes from it because if I do that, it's just going to open up Pandora's box. So I look at it this way. I'm like Chris Daughtry. I wish I could talk to Chris because I'm like, how did you do when you first? Obviously, he was on American Idol and that stuff. But how many people called it Daughtry? Or I mean, that's easier than Salois. But I can only imagine. I'm like, hopefully, I could get to the point of where Chris is, where people will tell other people like, no, this is how it's pronounced.
Okay, one thing I found really funny, and I don't know why this hit me so funny, but last night I was like, okay, well, I'm sure it's Salois. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go online and just look for like interviews. And maybe like somebody will like intro him or something. Everyone said Seth. Nobody said your last name.
I know, and that's we were so afraid. That's why I did when we sent out like the press release for the song to all the radio stations and stuff. I literally did a MP3 voice clip of saying my last name that went in that release, so people could click on it and hear the pronunciation of it. Because Tim Binder, who I work with, I love Tim to death. He's been so great to me. But Tim was like, I tried to figure out it phonetically, and he goes, it's just not going to work. So he's like, just do a voice note. And I'm like, okay, that works. But that's one of the things I will say too is like, I can't wait till I can tell everyone the guys are going to be in the band and stuff like that. Cause like I said, I'm a band guy. So me doing all this on my own is very foreign. It's, I don't have like the lead vocal syndrome and stuff. I like being fans of like the guys in my band too. So it's weird just doing this solo one-on-one thing too. So
I love it, dude. The SaloisOfficial.com is the website, and it has been so freaking awesome for you to be on here. And Seth, you are welcome back anytime, man. Uh,
so grateful.
uh, you got to hear this tune, man. You have to. So I'm gonna just shut up, and we're gonna play the song. This, my friends, is Salois, and the tune "Between the Darkness and the Light" is right here, right now on Real Rock Nights.